I guess my question is this. I think it's a two-part question. A, is this important to figure out? Yes, this is clearly important.
66% of Democrats want to know about it. Even
yes,
you talk about that poll.
Let's find out what happened here. Sure.
Yeah.
Unbiased, uncontrolled, like let's figure it out. But B, what relevancy does it have for future elections? Meaning, is this help the Trump campaign get elected again in 2024? Does this hurt? Like that's what I'm solving for.
Because then the same question can be asked in the following way. A, do we have to know, go back to 2016 when everybody was saying Russia, Russia, Russia. You know, do we have to find out if Trump was linked to Russia? Okay. And then B, but who cares if it did? You know, what are we going to get out of it if we did find out? It's the same question, but everybody in the media wanted to know it. I mean, there's clips. If you want to do greatest hits, Don Lemon saying all they talk about is the Durham investigation, Durham investigation, Durham investigation. It's out now. You know, Rachel Maddow's like, everybody's relying on the Durham investigation. There's nothing. It's just a conspiracy theory. Okay. You know, Morning Joe, they keep talking about the Durham investigation, but there's nothing. They're relying.
They addressed this specifically head on Morning Joe today. I don't know if you heard what they said. They had an expert come on and really sort of diffuse the argument. It's something you should watch.
Right.
And look, what I'm saying is this.
Diffuse the argument, meaning it's not a big deal.
Exactly. That's this was not on the news 2 days ago when I kind of was like, hey, what the hell is going on here? It's just there's so much out there and there's only so much bandwidth someone can take. I'm saying from the mind of an individual voter. So how many people actually voted a certain way because of Benghazi, as an example? Maybe the emails, especially when Comey came out and kind of said it was a sloppy job.
So I tell you, there are a couple of things here because it's not even just about, say, the pure partisan aspect, the Democrats. It's also about the media. So why is Morning Joe out there doing it? Well, number one, they're unbridled Trump hatred. Except when Joe and Mika were visiting us a couple days before the campaign in 2016, and we're all buddies then. But now we're not. But that's a whole other conversation. But the fact that they have to go out there and essentially they hate Trump, so they want to go and say this isn't true. They want to defend themselves, knowing that they spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours of doing broadcasts saying Russia, 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 we're going to get this guy. And when you go into some of the, especially the hyperbole that we saw, I mean, look, I was a CNN commentator in 2017 and 2018. How many Russia segments did I waste my life doing on CNN? And of course, we find out that it was all too many of these, 6-on-1 panels to name. So here's the thing. Going forward, we got to make sure that the media is held accountable, that they don't get completely snookered and taken down these rabbit holes on future things because, as we saw from Russia, i.e. Mueller, impeachment 1, impeachment 2. If Trump runs again in 2024, which I think he does, they're going to have the next Russia. They're going to have some next thing that they come up with. Here is our chance to finally beat the orange man. We're going to come up with some new crackpot thing that the media all goes running like lemmings. They don't go and actually do their own work. They just get out there and try to drive ratings and get clicks. And we're going to have the same thing happen again.
Listen, this line, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? What's the big deal with emails? Everybody does it. What's the big deal? Everybody does it. What's the big deals? Both sides meddle in elections. What's the big deal? No, listen, the big deal is that the American people believe these guys can get away with murder, literally. And if you want to have people have trust in the system, there's got to be accountability, period. Left, right, middle. The part I was going to ask him with Barr, why they didn't, I asked the question, why didn't they do the investigation? He said, the only thing is I wish they would have done this investigation earlier, and you were talking about Barr. You know where I went to? I went to the area, maybe they didn't want to do the investigation because they deep down inside thought maybe there was some kind of connection to Russia. Do you know what I'm saying? The fear for Barr was
saying the internal voices, the Bill
Barrs,
the
on
Rosensteins?
Trump's camp were like, dude, let's just kind of not do, because what if there is and we don't know?
You think they were drinking some of the big media Kool-Aid?
Yeah,
you're saying?
So I don't know if they were or not. I'm not saying they were or not. All I'm saying is it was such an effective campaign that got his own side to believe it. Like, imagine if everybody decides to go on a smear campaign about you and we work together, right? And I've seen how you are for how many years now? 3 years of being around each other. I kind of know who you are, right? And they say, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, maybe he is like that. Maybe he is this. Maybe he is that. And I start second guessing based on what I've personally witnessed from you, right? And I start buying into that. The scary thing is if Trump's own camp started kind of talking behind closed doors saying, maybe this guy did something with Russia. Would he even tell us anyways if he did? He probably wouldn't tell us if he did. You know, he's so much about wanting to win. So maybe Barr didn't want to investigate it. I don't know. Again, I
never heard any of that for all the time.
I'm not saying I'm right or I'm wrong. Only thing is, if you were so certain that something was going on with spying, why the hell wouldn't you start earlier?
Because I'm going to tell you, because Barr is, keep in mind, Barr was Attorney General before. In the final days
Barr's a beast.
Yes, he was Attorney General at 38 or 39, I want to say. So he's been
He's a heavyweight. We know.
He's a heavyweight.
Yeah.
And he's been around for a long time. There is for many people in Washington who are Trump allies, at least, or were Trump allies, where there might be, there's this push and pull of certain people really overthink and worry about other people are going to say about them. Are they going to be allowed at the McLean Country Club? What's going to happen while I'm at Barr lives in McLean? What happens when I'm going to these events and people see me at the parties? Are they going to think that this guy's unhinged or he did something politically charged, abused his government power for a political reason? I think this was he knew that something stunk. He knew something was bad. He didn't want it to happen in 2020, become a campaign issue, and he overthought this one. And actually, guess what? It probably was a campaign issue, because if the spying went on into Trump's administration and he had to waste multiple years of his administration pushing back on these Russia rumors, it most certainly was a 2020 issue. That's where I would just that's my thought.
And how much credibility do you think John Durham has?
I mean, he seems to be. I probably can't. I don't know him. I think that my concern also too is that the longer we get past Trump leaving office, that people start to say, "Why are we going back to something in the past?" To your point that you raised, like, why does this matter now? Is this okay? Put the one person, but should we really be making a big deal? The longer you get away from it, the less likelihood there is of being true accountability.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Every day, for God knows how long, everybody was watching the OJ trial case, right?
Okay.
OJ. We're watching the OJ trial case, right? Okay. How long did that last? How many times a day was it on TV? How many hours a day was on TV?
Biggest story of
so
was that 94?
Let me ask you a question. Why? Who cares? So let's take your position. Well, who cares whether he did it or not? Let's just, who cares if he did it? How does that affect my life? Actually think about it. How did what OJ did to his ex-wife affect your life? Think about that.
Well, it did.
Actually think about it.
Directly?
Zero.
Okay, indirectly, you go down a slippery slope
but go to
murder
that.
two people, you probably want accountability.
So we are more concerned about holding citizens accountable than those who create laws and have control of the U.S. government that we pay taxes to. And it's okay. Year and a half watching OJ every day. Of course we have to do that. But year and a half of trying to catch the bad guy if there was any manipulation behind this with the government, guys, we just got to move on. We just got to move on because OJ's trial was way more important than Hillary Clinton and this kind of stuff.
No, to be clear, I think that's why I kind of get the
I know
two
you're
options.
not,
You
but-
need to have some accountability.
Yeah.
But does this move the needle moving
I think
forward
it
in an
does.
election?
though.
That's my only question.
No, forget election. I don't even think election. Forget about the election. It's got nothing to do with election. You know what it's going to do? Here's what it's going to do. It's going to, get the next guy that's thinking about doing it to say, it ain't as easy as it used to be before. Kind of kick back, guys, because the price is that big. And number two, what it's going to do is it's going to get people to say, okay, all these guys that have been telling me that they're doing all this stuff for me in my favor, yeah, you were full of shit. And I'm sorry. My vote matters a lot. And the same way Barry Goldwater, what he did, when they went after him, 4 years later, the African-American vote went from 64% Democrat to 92% Democrat. Yeah, that was a consequence. The price had to be paid. And the American people today have to know because their vote matters today more than ever before.
There's one other thing I'd also put a kind of a finer point on this. I think public trust in government institutions is probably at an all-time low right now. I know trust in aspects
Certainly for congressmen.
Is definitely for congressmen, aspects of federal law enforcement. And obviously there are all sorts of concerns with elections and things like that. I think we need to make sure that the public has confidence that all aspects of law enforcement, of national security type agencies, that leaders who are in the White House, that they have that confidence of what actually, to what extent government power is being abused, to what extent the people who are writing the laws, is this going to be allowed to happen again? Is this all essentially just, do we have people throw in the towel and just say this whole system is rigged? I think that's terrible for democracy. It's a big part of the reason why Trump won, because people thought the whole system was rigged and it was stacked against people. And certainly you look at stagflation, lack of wage growth over the last couple of decades, and you'd say, ever since NAFTA, and you'd say that's definitely the case. We have to do something here in the country to restore some aspect of trust and confidence, because right now it's terrible. I mean, look, as someone who grew up as kind of, the G-men, the FBI, like these are the good guys. I mean, I've a number of people I went to college with, for example, that went into FBI, and, they're always like, the FBI, those are the good guys. Like, yeah, like we're the ones who are out stopping the bad guys. But now what's happened over the last couple of years with the internal politics and seeing the swirl, people have, many people that have a negative view of our law enforcement or some of these government agencies. And I think that's terrible. Or even just the legal system as a whole, and we got to restore some of that trust.
Yeah, I think I had Gordon Chang on, who lived in China. Who lived in China for 20-some years, lawyer. Yeah, and he says in 1980 something there was only 4 law schools in China, and what the law does, it increases trust that people cannot be bullied. Now we all know I've paid, I don't know, in the last 12 years. $10 million to legal fees, not because of lawsuits, but because of contract this, contract that, contract this. And every time you talk to a lawyer for 10 minutes, that was a 2-hour conversation. Here's $1,200. So I have my own opinions about lawyers. But
yeah, don't get me started on that one.
The legal system allows you to walk outside and feel safe. The legal system allows me to drive in the streets safer. The legal system allows me to have my kids go out and they're not around me. I'm not overly paranoid because I trust the legal system. There's a certain safety and security the legal system brings to you, right? They say many times women are with a man, they want to feel secure and safe, right? When she sits next to you, you feel safe. You're like, okay, there's a certain safety that you're bringing to me, okay? That's a role that we got to play many times. I think that's a legal system, and I think the importance about this is the American people are going to say, okay, there is law and order in America. That's all there is. I've had one too many speeding tickets. I've deserved every one of them. My license has been suspended a couple times. I was speeding. I deserved it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I wasn't. Every time one time a cop pulls me over and he says, do you know how fast you were going? I said, yeah, much faster than you. Couldn't catch up. And he starts laughing. He says, what is the matter with you? I said, bro, I got so many tickets, man. What do you want to do? If you're going to give it to me, give it to me. But I'm just having fun with you. He says, you know what? Is he always like this? And Jen's like, I'm so sorry, but he is. He's always like this. You know what? Just, can you slow down? I'm like, I'll slow down. I'm so sorry. He said, just go. And I left. Never gave me a ticket.
Well, you didn't slow down.
No, of course I didn't slow down, but I left. But I did slow down for 5 miles. You have to respect
accountability, Pat. We got to talk about accountability.
I got pulled over for, it was like 2 years ago, for talking on my cell phone, right? And the officer was like, why were you on your cell phone? I'm like, I was talking to the president. And he just looks at me, he's like, huh? And I was like, yeah, I was talking to the president. He's like, and then he kind of paused for a minute. He's like, why did you use the Bluetooth? Because it was cutting out. And I was like, it was a present. So I had to talk to him. And he's kind of paused. I'm in Arlington, Virginia, right? So no, I got the ticket. Now that didn't.
He did give you the ticket.
Yeah, it didn't help at all.
Gave you a ticket.
Yeah, I probably could have said.
Great story.
What I should have said was like, I was on the phone with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. And, you know what? Oh, sorry, sir. Can I escort you to your house? You're going to be safe.
Exactly, sir. I was organizing the next Black Lives Matter protest, and
you may have been safer, especially where you're at.
Yeah, I guaranteed myself.
Did he believe you?
Of course. You know
what? Okay, buddy. Sure, you're talking to the president.
Here's
okay.
the ticket.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.